Well, it certainly is. I mean, none of us were expecting anything like this. Less than a year and a half into his reign, both his parents lived to a ripe old age, and the king leads very fit, abstemious lifestyle. He's a keen walker. He doesn't eat or drink very much. Doesn't even eat lunch. Yes, we're all worried. But yesterday afternoon, rumours started swirling around, and some of them were quite bleak rumours. So when we actually got the statement we received, it was, I think, actually quite upbeat. It was a sort of, okay, we're going to try and keep business as usual as much as we possibly can. Certainly the constitutional side of his duties are unaffected. He's going to carry on with his meetings with ministers, particularly the Prime Minister, the red boxes, all that stuff. The big difference is for now he's having to cancel all his public engagements because his medical team don't want him going into crowded situations full of strangers who may have some sort of germs, infections, whatever. So it's a sort of practical, pragmatic response at the moment. There's certainly no sense of panic. There's no sense of any major change to any of the sort of constitutional machinery, if you like. I mean, there are mechanisms in place for when we have either an ill or an incapacitated monarch, but no one is dusting those off.
Robert, yeah, as Cameron Walker mentioned earlier just now, he said the Telegraph are reporting that a palace source says King Charles, he's on usual good form in every way, just a little frustrated that his condition has affected not just his own plans, but impacted on others. Now, as a man who took 516 engagements last year, 94 of which were abroad, this must be a huge frustration for him. He wants to get on with the job.
He does. I mean, he loves interaction with the public. He likes crowds. He likes walkabouts. One of the problems they normally have with him on the road is trying to keep to time, because just as he's going from one engagement to another, he'll sort of see a crowd of people and pop over the road for a chat. And it's one of Queen Camilla's great skills in these situations is she's about the only person who can give him a prod. She often uses the sharp corner of her handbag in the small of his back to sort of give him a reminder that it's time we moved on. Yeah, he enjoys meeting the public. He always has done. And that's going to be the greatest frustration. I'm not sure he'll be the greatest patient. I imagine they are trying to ration the paperwork, the correspondence, the bump, the briefing notes that he likes receiving. As one of his former aides said to me, you could never put too much on his plate. He is very used to working late, pushing himself, if you like. And I think that's obviously going to have to slow down a bit, and somebody's got to tell him that.
It's interesting to see how open, relatively, the royal family has been about this diagnosis. If we compare it to the lack of information we heard about the King's mother or indeed the King's grandfather, we knew virtually nothing about their health. Why do you think it is that the King has been much, much more open about his own health? And potentially has this opened a bit of a tricky situation for the royal family? Some information, but not complete information. We're left guessing.
Well, it's a good question. I think it's entirely in keeping with the kind of tone of this reign very early on. Within hours, certainly days of the king becoming king, we were just seeing sort of slight shifts in the way that the palace and the monarchy communicate. I mean, after Elizabeth II became queen in 1952, it was months, 10 months, in fact, before we heard her voice in public. We had to wait till her Christmas broadcast. He was straight on the airwaves the next day. The day after that, the Accession Council, the Privy Council on screen. I mean, that's unheard of. And just generally in the day-to-day course of things, we're just used to seeing what one of his staff described to me as a more informal formality. He's just more comfortable with this sort of communication. He's, as I say, he's of his generation. His parents did not like discussing these sort of things, and nor did that generation and the generation before. I mean, when George VI was very ill. I mean, everyone tiptoed around, and no one ever used words like cancer. It was just it was kept quiet.
Robert, just a quick word from you on Prince Harry dashing back from Los Angeles to see his father. Could this be the rekindling of their relationship, their father-son relationship?
I mean, clearly, it's sort of, we all hope that it is the building of some sort of bridge. The relationship between Harry and his father has been, it never went away. I mean, it was clearly under a great deal of strain following the publication of Spare, following the 6-part Netflix documentary, following endless interviews where the couple have made clear they were not happy with their royal lot. But the lines of communication have never been completely severed, and I think this bodes well. I think the fact that Harry's just got on a plane, there clearly hasn't been a lot of haggling over this. It's very straightforward. It's a son coming to his father's bedside at a time of need. I think it'd be a great comfort to the king. The next question will be, how long does he stay? Does he meet his brother? Does he put out any sort of statement? I suspect he won't want to upstage the king. I think it'll be all kept quite quiet, low key, but it cannot be anything but a good thing.
Well, we'll keep checking in on Prince Harry's visit as he makes his way, we hear, from Heathrow to Clarence House as we speak. But for now, Robert Hardman, thank you so much for joining us here on Good Afternoon Britain.